everyone, my name is Savannah Kepley and I'm a middle school language arts teacher, and I'm here to share with you some ideas about what you can do at the end of the year with your students as you prep for end of year testing, so your standardized testing. Now I know your students might be like, if we have to read another passage, I just might be done. I'm gonna walk out. Not another packet, bro. Is that a thing? That's a thing, right? And so this is like some more engaging ideas that you can do with your students. So it's not another packet, it's not another passage with questions, or it kind of is, but it's a little funnish. So I'm going to share with you some ideas of how you can bring some engagement into your classroom with your standardized testing review. So this is a 2-week plan that I have that I'm going to do with my middle school students this year, and you are free to copy it. You're free to use it, follow what I do. I hope it gives you some ideas. Now, if you're looking for the specific resources that go with this lesson, those can always be found in ELA Unlimited, or if they're available independently or individually, those will be linked down below. Started, let's check out my 2-week plan for standardized testing review. Let's check it out. Inside of ELA Unlimited, I have some weekly plans here, and that's where I house all of my plans for the end of year or for the whole year. So I'm going to go down here to weeks 34 and 35 because I have a part 1 and part 2 for my end of grade review. So we're going to go ahead and click on week 34. And when you click here, you can see, if you're a member of ELA Unlimited, you can see all the resources that go with it, instructions and everything. But I'm just going to go ahead and click on the plans. And if you want Google Doc or Google Sheet, you can do either, whichever works for your brain. What works for my brain is Google Sheets, so I'm going to pull that up. And then this is just a walkthrough of everything that I'm going to do with my students. So the very first thing is I do a spiral review, and I've been doing these for the past 3 weeks up until this point. So let me show you what a spiral review looks like. This is the spiral review, and this is going to focus on story elements, verbs, complex sentences, maintaining formal style, and identifying conflicting information. So it's split up into 5 days. So I'm going to use this as a bell ringer. So after I go over important dates and stuff coming up, they will have 10 minutes to work on this, and they can work on it outside of the classroom as well if they need extra time to get it done, but 10 minutes in class to get it done. And so day 1, they're going to read a little excerpt and then answer these questions about story elements. Then they're going to do some highlighting of verbs and the sentences, complex sentences. So they're going to take these simple sentences and turn them into complex sentences. And since it's a spiral, we've already done all of this, so it should be review. And then we are going to rewrite this so it has more formal style, more formal language instead of the casual style here. They'll rewrite it there. Then they're going to highlight evidence that supports the author's position here. And then again with this article. And then they are going to, so it's 2 different articles about the same thing, and then they're going to outline the 2 different viewpoints and then which one was more persuasive. So it's a little practice about picking out relevant information and then analyzing how the 2 articles compare. So that will be the spiral review. That will be about like the first 10 minutes of class, and if they need extra time, they can do it on their own. From there, I'm going to review the target objective. If you look at the to-do slide, I think I already put in the target objective. Yes. So it's going to be students will be able to demonstrate understanding of literature standards and prep for end of grade testing. So I always start with a target objective so we know what we're doing for the day. And then if I go back, I want them to do the standards choice board, but the literature section. Let me show you what that looks like. This is my ELA standards review choice board. And so the instructions for them is they're going to complete the practice activity for each section. I have some cheat sheets to help them about the vocabulary and stuff, and then I'm going to check their progress before they move on to the next section. So today they're going to be working on the literature standards. Now I put it as a choice board because they can choose which ones they want to do. Like, do they want to do text, evidence, and inference, theme, analyzing dialogue? They can choose the order that they want to do it in. That's my choice to them. You can have them choose like 2 out of 3 or which one they want to do out of the 3. Your choice on how you use the choice board, or you can just take the choice out of it and say do all of it, but whatever. So this is the Google side, and it has the cheat sheets linked to it. So if they didn't know, they could go to slide 7, and it would teach them like what text evidence and inference is, and it gives them examples. So they're like, what is that? Then they can go back once they look at the cheat sheets and they can do the practice. I have a Google form that goes with each one of these. And so before I would assign it to the students, I would attach my version of the Google form, and I make a Google form for each class. So it separates the grades. So this is the Google form for theme. It just has the vocabulary at the top and then some little examples of theme. And then it goes into a passage. It has three passages that they have to read, and all the questions are about theme. And then once they finish that one, if they want to go to analyzing dialogue, they could do that. And again, they could click on the practice sheet or the cheat sheet and look at an example, go back, and then they can go ahead and take their quiz once I would link it here. So that would be their whole goal on Monday. So we have spiral review, and then I want them to work on all of the literature standards, the choices. They get to choose the order that they do it. And then that's what we're doing also on Tuesday, except that I'm moving into informational standard on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I will be doing the language portion. Let me show you. So this is the informational text, central idea, text structure, arguments and claims. And then for language, we have context clues, figurative language, and analogies. And so that's a quick way to review for standardized tests. I like the cheat sheets that go with it. And these also, I think, make great posters in the classroom. So I might print those out and have them as anchor charts in the classroom when we are doing this unit. For Thursday, we're going to move into some passages. But in order to make the passages a little bit more fun, I do have some games to go with it. First thing that we're going to do is the Emperor's New Clothes. And so what I did here is I took the Emperor's New Clothes and I made it into more of a modern story. And so what I would do, and I have like little vocabulary and stuff in there that they might not know. What I would do is with some of my lower classes, I would probably read this out loud to them. With my higher classes, I would allow them to either read this with a partner or small group, or read independently and then answer the questions together. It just depends on your students. You can always even just start reading it. This is a 7-page passage, so it's pretty long. You could start reading it with your students, and then they could read the last 4 pages together. Whatever works for your students, whatever works for how you can break it up. But they would read the passage or the story however you want them to do it, and then this story has questions that go with it. So it has, how many questions I put? 20 questions to go with it, so that's pretty good. And what I would do, I had them play the Lucky Square game. So this will take the passage and the questions and make it a little bit more entertaining for them. Let me show you Lucky Square. This is Lucky Square, and all I do is I just pull this little grid up on my smartboard. So with this, I would probably have them answer 1 page at a time. So I would give them these first 6 questions. As a little partner or as a group, they would answer these 6 questions. Now you can have them do it independently, and then they can check together. Your choice how you want to do this. Probably with my lower classes, I'll have them talk it out as a little partner group. And then in my higher classes, I'll have them do it independently and then come together to check in their small groups. Anyway, so I would have them do these 6 questions. Then I would check it. And for every question that they get correct, they would put their initial anywhere on the board. So let's say anywhere, they would just put here, like here's my initials, SK. Let's say they get 6 right. They would select 6 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So it doesn't matter which 6 boxes they do. Any 6 boxes, because it's going to be totally random. So they would go ahead and put their initials up there, and then they would go back to their seat, and I will give them the next set of questions to go with it. And then we would repeat the process until this whole board is full. Then what I would do is I would spin the wheel, and I would have A through O on the wheel of names. If you haven't seen it, I would spin it, and then whatever, let's say it lands on H. Then I would spin it and have the numbers 1 through 10 on it. Let's say it's number 4. And then if it's H4, that group would win a prize. Now I would have prizes ready to go in a bag. And it could be anywhere from like a can of corn and the assistant principal's signature or popular teacher's signature or autograph to candy. It varies. Your prizes don't have to cost you a lot of money. They just have to be a mystery, so you keep them in a bag. be like, whoever wins the lucky square gets the mystery bag. And then whoever wins, they get to open the mystery bag, and you just really have to play it up. So if it's like a can of corn, be like, oh my gosh, you got the can of corn. I'm so excited for you. You know, you can also throw in a Jolly Rancher or two in there to make them a little bit more excited. And then you would erase the board and start over again. And everybody would start wherever they are. So if they've already answered 2 sets of questions, they would start on the 3rd one. If they answered 4 sets, they would start on the 5th one, etc. You get the idea. So this is Lucky Square. It brings a little bit of excitement, right, to your review session. Then I would do an informational standards review, and I have the wonders of the black hole. If I go back to my resources here, I'll pull up the wonders of the black hole. Let's see what it looks like. Has an article, informational text article, a little bit shorter than the other one about black holes. Very exciting, right? And then the same thing, it has questions to go with it. But this time, instead of just reading and answering the questions, we're going to be playing a game called Point Palooza. Let me show it to you. Point Palooza game board. And so I put students in groups or partners. It depends on how many students you have. Groups of 3, groups of 2. I don't like groups of 4. To me, that's just too many kids working together. There's always someone not doing something. So groups of 2 to 3 are my favorite thing. So first, I would have them read the article independently for this activity. And it's a shorter article, so they're more likely to stay focused during this one. So they would read the article independently, and then they would come together in their little small group. Now, here's the key. Before you show them the question, they're starting off with 1,000 points. They have to bet however many points they want to bet. They have to leave some on the board. They'll play with the next round. So they have to leave at least $10 in their account. I always call it money because it makes it easier because they understand money. So the most they can bet is $990 because you need some money left to play the whole game. So I would say, okay, before you see the question, I want you to bet your money. And then they write on their little whiteboards how much money they want to bet. So group 1, they might bet $500. Group 2 might be like $350. And again, they haven't seen the question yet. Group 3, let's say $400. I'm just going to go ahead and go down. You get the idea. So they hold up their whiteboards, and then I type in what their bet is. Then I show them the question. For example, I would put this first question on the board. All right. I'll say, all right, question number 1. And I have this question on the board. And then they look at it, and then they talk about it in their little group. They whisper about what they think the best answer is. And then they write it on their whiteboard. And I don't want them to show anybody. What I do is I go around. I had this printed out too, like a blank version. And I go around, and in the question 1 spot, I'll write down the letter that they put. So I'll say group 1 put an A, group 2 put an A, 3 put B, C, D. I don't know. So I'll write down what they have on my clipboard. Then I come up to the board, and this is projected on the smart board. And if group 1 got it right, it stays positive. But if group 2 got it wrong, I would put a negative there. And then it automatically keeps up with their total here. So if they get it right, they now have $1,500. They get it wrong, it takes the money automatically off, and they're left with $500. And so that's how the game works. And then we do the same thing for question number 2. I'm like, all right, group 1, you now have $1,500 to play with. Again, you need to leave at least $10. That's their baseline of what they can bet. And then they'll bet. They'll follow the same thing. They'll hold up their whiteboards. I'll type it in. And then I will go over here and show them question number 2. Now again, I don't want them to see the questions ahead of time. So I might even just copy this question and put it on a Google slide so it's only this question being shown. And then the winner of Point Palooza gets a little prize. It's really exciting. They get into it. There's lots of, oh no, like if they get it wrong, and then I could talk about why they got it wrong as a class. I like this. It's fun. And I can see patterns that emerge of students who, like, they're thinking and maybe they didn't understand what central idea is, and they were picking out a detail instead. So I could do a really quick session of like to clarify that. So that is 2 activities that you can do with, or 2 games that you can do with 2 articles. Again, you don't have to use my articles, but you can 1000% steal the games. Let's look at the second week. If I go back to ELA Unlimited, I'm going to click on week 35, click on the plans. Here we are with the plans. So I'm going to, same thing, we're going to do spiral review number 5, and it's going to be the same thing like we did last week, but just with a different set of questions. Then I'm going to review the objective with the students. Again, the objective for this week is they're going to demonstrate understanding of grade level standards, and that's going to be all week. Then I'm going to show them my standardized testing tips. With each testing tip, I want them to practice with the standardized test practice passage. Now, this week is not as fun as the other weeks, but you can still keep it fun by keeping tally of how many questions they get right, and then I'll show you what you can do with that in just a moment. So let me show you my standardized testing tips because it might be different than what you have. So here are the standardized testing tips. Instead of sharing all 5 at one time, I share 1 at a time, and then we practice that. So my tip number 1 is that they're going to hide the questions. So now this is contrary to what a lot of people say, and I understand that. But what I have noticed, especially where my school or my state testing, they have a passage on one side, like on this half of the screen is the passage, and then on the other half of the screen is the questions. So the questions are staring students in the face, and they just want to click, click, click these questions, and they're not even reading the passage. And I was like, y'all, we got to stop this. So my tip to them is to hide the questions, because sometimes when you read the questions first, you just skim the passage instead of reading for comprehension. So when we hide or ignore the questions, we're more likely to fully engage with and understand the passage. Now, I know you might be teaching kids to go look at the questions first. This is just what I have done with students, and I think it works. So we hide the questions, read the passage, annotate the passage, then we go and look at the questions, and if we need to go back to the passage, we can. Because in 7th grade, it's not, or middle school, it's not comprehension questions that students are being asked, right? They're asking application questions. So our students really need to understand the passages and not like pick and choose things in order to answer questions. So after I showed them this tip, I'm like, okay, we're going to practice this with standardized test practice number 1. So in the resources section, all you have to do is pick 5 passages that have questions. I already have those lined up for ELA Unlimited members, but you can pick any 5 standardized test passages. So if we look at the instructions, I have this on a Google form, which is what I want students to practice on because our tests in my state are all digital. So I want them to practice having the passage there with the questions and just focusing on the passage. So we pull up the Google form. We use it as a template. I will assign it to them. And then this is an excerpt from the Secret Garden. So it's not super long, but it's similar to what they might see on an EOG or end of grade test or standardized test at the end of the year. I have them practice annotating on paper while they read. They do all the annotations that we have done in class on paper. So they're reading, they're jotting, they're reading, they're jotting, reading and jotting, ignoring the questions until the end. And then they go back and answer the questions. So after they answer the questions, they'll hit submit. And then when they submit it, so you can see how they did on your side, so you can pull students who are not doing well and then talk about some patterns that you see that are emerging. So I do this all week, standardized testing tip, and then practice passage. Standardized testing tip, practice passage. All week long, we're leading up to our end of grade test, so they're doing this independently. Standardized testing tip, practice passage. Standardized testing tip. You get it, practice passage. Yes, so they're doing this all week long. Now, in order to make it engaging, because, I thought we weren't doing another packet, bro. Let me show you a way you can make it engaging. Everybody loves a good game of basketball, right? So I set up a tournament style play here. So what's going to happen? instead of working with their team, I would change this to working independently to answer the questions. However, for every question you get correct, you earn a shot at the basket. Now, I would have students sitting in groups of 3 or 4 for this activity, and then they can keep a total of how many questions they got correct. I was sitting with, we have 1,000 Masons, so if I was sitting with Mason and Haley and me, if I got 2 questions right, Mason got 4, Haley got 3 questions right, we would add those together to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I would have, our table would have 9 shots at the basket. So we would shoot, I have a paper ball, we would shoot the trash into the trash can. If it goes in, you get a basket and you earn a point, right? And the team with the most baskets wins the matchup. So here are the matchups that I have, like table 2 would be going against table 6, blah, 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 table 3 against table 1, that kind of thing. If you score the most baskets, you earn 3 points. If you tie, you earn 1 point. If you lose the matchup, you do not earn any points. So round 1 would be like day 1 practice passage. Then round 2, points are doubled. Day 2, practice passage. This would be a great way to incentivize your students that you want to earn baskets for your team. And so you really want to work hard on answering the questions correctly. That's just an idea. This is what I will do with my students in order to incentivize and make the review just a little bit more fun. Now, if you will also notice that there are academic vocabulary mini lessons that I'm going to have students do this week. So they'll do 10 minutes of their spiral review. I'll go over the target objective, and then I'm going to have them spend about 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes on the academic vocabulary mini lesson. Let me show you those. This is set 5, but you'll see the idea here. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vocabulary words. Some of them have 6. And then what we do here, so this is a mini lesson that I'll have students do together, like we'll do it together. So the first one is credible. Oh, I don't know why it looks like that. I need to fix it. But it's what I already know about this word. So I'll show them the word credible. They'll write what they already know about it. Then I will teach them that credible is when someone is trustworthy and believable, and I'll give them these quick tips on their sheet. They'll add to their understanding, so they'll build on what they already know. And we'll do this for all of the words. And then I will have them practice on the Quizlet for about 5-ish minutes. Then, after they practice the vocabulary words, I will have them do the examples here. After the examples, we'll go over the answers, make sure that they are highlighting key words and that kind of thing in the question, because that's part of standardized testing. It's not just about reading and understanding what the passage is saying. We also need to understand what the question is asking. So I teach my students to highlight and pick out those keywords in the examples as well. And so they'll pick those out. They'll do this independently, and then I will go through and go over the answers with them. So they're on the right track before they start their standardized testing practice. So I tried to align it that way so it kind of all goes together. I hope that makes sense. So this is my review session to help my students prep for the end of grade test, and that's my way to try to make it a little bit more engaging with the games that we have there. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop it in the comments below. If you're ELA Unlimited member, all of the stuff is ready to download. You're ready to go with your end of grade testing review. If you're not a member, I've also put a link there. If you would like to join us, you can. One low price, you can download what you need when you need it, so you're ready in the classroom and you're having fun and engaging activities and not having to just increase your mental load, right? It's already done for you. It's here and ready to go. Also, let me show you, if you are an ELA Unlimited member, inside of ELA Unlimited, there is a standards review section. So you have there's more games in there. There's more information, there's more passages in here to help you round out your review sessions, especially if you have targeted tutoring time or targeted interventions. These will be good resources to you. If you have any questions, let me know. Till next time, bye.